I'm Joe Collins. I'm running for Congress against Maxine Waters. Do you know where I am right now? Maxine Waters' $6 million mansion. Do you know where I'm not right now? Maxine Waters district. Yep, that's right. Maxine does not live in her district, but I do. I was born right here in South LA, in a place Maxine refuses to live. Maxine Waters does not drink our water. She does not breathe our air. And while she sits here in her mansion, our district is in ruins. Let me show you. This is South LA. I was born here. I grew up on 104th and Normandy. Maxine Waters has been in office for 44 years. Has anything got better around here? I can tell you firsthand that it hasn't. I survived a drive-by shooting in this house when I was a child. Gangs, drugs, violence, that was my upbringing. And where was Maxine Waters? Nowhere to be found. I survived Maxine's district. Graduated high school, went on to join the U.S. Navy. I fought for this country. But while I was fighting for this country, Maxine Waters could not be bothered to fight for her own district here in America. And when I returned from war, I came back to my community as a war zone. And why doesn't Maxine Waters want to live in her own district? Because she doesn't want to suffer the consequences of her own policies. South Los Angeles has been represented by Maxine Waters for 44 years. What has she done for this district? Just this year, deadly crime spiked 15% in South LA, much of it due to gang activity. The homicide rate in South LA has shot up by 53%. South LA has the highest poverty rate in the city, with a crippling 43% of its residents living below the poverty line. Meanwhile, in LA County has a homeless population of over 40,000 people. Homelessness rates has increased by 264% since 2009. Los Angeles is one of the largest hubs of sex trafficking of young girls and women. LA is in the top 10 least safest cities in America to raise a family. And our schools fail our children. In South LA, 29% of Black children never graduate high school. Look at this. How many little Latino and Black children has been abandoned by Maxine Waters? This is the reality for children every day in Maxine Waters' district. Maxine doesn't care about our district. She only cares about herself and using our tax dollars to buy mansions. When Maxine fails to lead, riots and violence surge in our streets. While our buildings and businesses burn, Maxine sits safe in her mansion, guarded by the same police she demonizes. Maxine has never had to deal with violence or riots in her neighborhood. That must be nice. But this is the way the rest of us lives. We need someone to represent us who lives here, who fights here, who wants to improve our way of life. Someone who understands we need safe streets and a strong economy. Our children should never have to grow up living in fear of being killed, like I did on this block. You send me to Washington, and I'll make sure our children never have to live in a war zone. Unlike Maxine Waters, I know the pain that crime, violence, gangs, homelessness does to our children. I was one of the kids left behind by Maxine Waters. I'm gonna fight for safety and dignity for South LA. The only question you need to ask is this. In the last 44 years, where has Maxine Waters been? Our people deserve better. My name is Joe Collins. I'm a veteran, I'm a patriot, and I actually care about our lives in LA. LA deserves better. Let's retire Maxine Waters to her mansion. I'm Joe Collins, and I'm the man to do it.
Yo, welcome to another episode of Breaking the Barriers, you guys. We got a really good show. I got a very special co-host here with me today. The man, the myth, the legend that you just watched in that video. Fighting for you, fighting for me, and everybody in Cali, man. Yo, stand up for my man, Joe Collins. Unmute your mic, big bro.
How you doing?
What's going on with you?
Good, nothing, man. Blessed. I just got finished. I did a workout, then I did Fox, and now I'm on here with you. Yep.
I heard that, bro. I appreciate you for coming, man.
Oh yeah, sure. I wouldn't miss.
Without further ado, let me bring the rest of the cast up. We got Anthony Beat the Change Russo. What's up, brother?
What's going on? Pleasure meeting you, Joe.
Pleasure's mine. Thank you.
We got Suni, the middle child.
Hello, guys.
What's
Nice
going
to
on?
meet you, Joe.
You as well. Thank you.
Then we got Blake, Mr. Primetime Patriot exec himself. Yeah, caught that.
You are so dramatic. Nice to meet you, Joe.
Nice to meet you as well. Thank you.
All right, so everybody that's watching right now, if you guys can do me the favor of sharing this video out, no matter where you're watching from, whether that be YouTube, Be The Change, Street Lights, my page, or my other page, share this out right now and let everybody know they're going to not want to miss this one. I got this man on the show, and he's going to be dropping some bombs for everybody here today. So, Joe, I'm going to jump right on into this, man. I was out in Cali on election night, had the honor of coming to your campaign party, man, and hanging out with you, which you already know I blasted that when I was out there, man. But this man literally had his campaign party in his district in the heart of the hood, bro, where everybody could come. Everybody. He was out there shaking hands, meeting up, greeting the people, where he had been working. By the way, he'd been out there putting in work, man, feeding people, clothing people, everything that he could possibly do for his community. All right. So, Joe, what the hell happened? Because I know firsthand when I was out there, bro. I went out into the Raymond, where the Raymond Crips was at. I went there where I guess OGs can't even go over there where I went, and I went and hung out with them brothers. I hung out with some Bloods. I met that guy Kenny from the Crenshaw Mafia that started up that. That brother's dope. I met up with a lot of people, Rockhead, Sight, Spit. I met up with all of them, man, and everybody was out there in the neighborhoods. People that didn't vote before ever went registered to come and vote for you. Specifically, It wasn't even about Trump and Biden at that point. It was literally about you. So how the hell did they sweep this, man, from up under you? Which I know it's not done yet because you're still fighting, and I want to touch on that too. So go ahead.
You know what? I really don't know what happened. I know when the election night was there, as soon as they started counting, Maxine came up with 115,000 votes, and everybody was like, how did that happen? So it had to be some cheating right here, because when you start counting, you're not supposed to have numbers. You're supposed to watch numbers climb. And so the fact that she came out with 118,000 votes, it showed us that we had a lot of irregularities. I'm not going to say fraud. I'm definitely going to say a little bit of cheating going on there. But that's why we're challenging our election results, because we made a huge impact. I do believe that we got enough votes to make ourselves a formidable opponent. We actually got Maxine out to campaign against us, something that she's never done before. And as a first-time candidate running for office, our numbers should have been really close for the amount of work that we put in. I mean, we put boots on the ground every day, all day.
All day long, bro. I seen it. People spoke very, very, very highly of you out there, man. You even had me, bro. Literally, I came out to Cali like, I got to meet this brother. You know? And it's been history ever since, man. But I noticed, too, that it hit the news later on after the election about just two men. And these are the 2 men that they had caught. There are only two that have been caught. 8,000 fraudulent ballots was submitted by these 2 men, and that made the news. So how many more did they not catch? You know what I'm saying? That's the big question. But how is the fight going right now? If you can talk about it, how is the fight going right now, man, with everything when it comes to Maxine Waters and this election?
The fight is going good, in my opinion. She ran a slander campaign, so we got a couple of lawsuits filed against her. And those lawsuits, they went default, so we got a default judgment. We got to go to court for that. She didn't respond. I guess she thought I was joking for some reason. And even though our fight to challenge our election results, we filed our lawsuit tomorrow for that against the County of LA. We need them to verify by hand counting ballots, challenging signatures, and things of that nature to ensure that we did get a fair election. Even if we didn't win, I want those numbers so we can figure out how we can put together a strategy and a game plan so we can be able to run a more effective campaign next time.
Definitely. Personally for me, and I'm gonna let everybody, talk with you on here, but personally for me, I swear to you, bro, I think that you dominated in this election, and something fishy happened, because there is no way. People in Cali, everybody that I talk to in Cali, nobody even likes Maxine. Nobody. Everybody's like, yo, she gotta go. Nobody likes her. And then I went to all these different rallies that was out there, and there was such a huge presence of people that were standing on the conservative side, standing up for Trump, standing up for you, and a lot of other Republicans that were on the ticket. So, yeah, definitely something fishy happened. And as we're seeing with this election all through the country, there's been a lot of fishy shit that went on all over, bro. So I'm rooting for you. You already know I got your back, bro. And we're going to be in D.C. on the 6th, and we're gonna make our presence known there too. You feel me? We ain't letting this go. We're gonna stand up, and I got your back, bro.
Appreciate
everybody else. I know y'all wanted to talk to him too, man. So anybody got questions for Joe?
Don't troll me because I'm a trash talker.
All day long. I got your back.
Don't you think it's super strange, Joe, that you're seeing these numbers and stuff, reflecting in a way that was just not heard of, in a way that kind of reflects what's going on around the country, and it just shows you district by district, it's occurring not only on a state level, but it's occurring on the House of Reps level, senator races. I mean, it's the same narrative over and over again. So it's very, very, it's troubling to me to hear that even just in Southern LA that this is going on. So how do you think people out there watching, how can we have faith in elections when there's so much irregularities going on that we just don't trust the democracy of casting our votes?
That's a really good question, and I don't have a real legitimate answer. I think that's something that we have to create a collaborative effort on in order to push. But I do know this: we as people need to start pushing our electors to do what we need and want them to do, and if not, we have to start getting rid of them. We have to start replacing them. But we also need younger people to start getting up and running for office as well. I mean, you look at. And I'm not even trying to be disrespectful, but when I look at these politicians, the only thing I can think of is crank yankers. You got two old guys who are out of touch with America, and they're arguing and fussing about something that don't nobody even care about. You know what I'm saying? Yep. It's like, well, we need to give everybody $2,000. No, give them $600. Like, well, why don't you just open up our states because the flu is still killing more people than coronavirus? And we have an immune system. Let our immune system do what it's supposed to do. And this is just an example, but that's what I think of. It's like crank yankers, like the stuff they talk about, nobody cares about on TV anymore.
They're out of touch. They're very out of touch with society. They don't even know exactly what's going on with the generation that's coming up. They are far out of touch. And you said something very, very profound, bro, and that is that our immune system can fight this thing off all on its own. Most of the time, when people would, catch the coof, is what we're gonna call it. Your immune system is fully capable of knocking this thing straight out. Yet the people that wear the mask end up being the ones that actually get a little bit sicker than people that don't. And then they end up in the hospital. And then we found out with the CDC, what they released, that most of the people that they said passed away of this virus, it was not even factual. They're coming back out now and saying that no, it was actually the flu and it was influenza. And they had pre-existing problems, conditions. And when they used the ventilators, that was another thing that we aren't talking about enough. When they started first using those ventilators, that was the cause of a lot of people that passed away, was because of them ventilators. They were misusing the ventilators. They had a high pressure instead of the low pressure that they found out that was needed. So when we see these deaths that happen because of the coof, it's not even because of it. It was because of errors that happened on the physician's end, and then the lightning bolt was actually the cause. They hit the guy that was walking in the park, not the coof, but they called it that. So yeah, man, you're definitely right. You're definitely right about that.
We're also seeing issues now with the death rate going back up again, and it's because of places unlike Florida, places like California, where we're deciding people are like, well, there's got to be something going on and see how deadly it is. We've taken the immune system and we've taken it away from taken away from bacteria and antibodies that we'd typically be facing for 9 months. And now the death rate has gone back up again because we have no idea how to fight illness. But I mean, you look at Florida's death rate is still very, very low. It's because people have not stayed inside. And right now, any of the places with shutdowns are up, just going through the roof.
Little history lesson for all of you. In the flu of 1918, 1/3 of the people who actually died during that era actually didn't die from the actual influenza, the Spanish flu. They actually died secondary pneumonia, and they can't make it inconclusive or not. And the world was wearing masks at the time. So an intensive study or not to determine if that actually caused secondary pneumonia in the world's population, which eventually killed 50 million people during the time of 1918. So we don't study this stuff enough to be able to. It's like the first time in history, at least in my lifetime, that we've actually put mask and quarantine healthy people.
Yeah, I agree. It's pretty stupid.
Can I ask a direct question to Joe?
Yeah, sure. I was about to say that.
Go ahead.
Oh, you got the question? Are you looking at the one in the comments?
No, I have a question for.
Oh, go for it. Do you think?
Yeah. So, Joe, say you are able to end up winning this election, or maybe the next time, whatever happens, hopefully you're able to find a way to get through on this one. How do you feel? I mean, we have this conversation a lot. How do you feel about term limits? Because if you get in, then you've got a limit, and then you got to move on from there. But say, what is the benefits of the current system, or why do we need to get out of it?
We need to get out of the current system. And yes, I am like pro term limits. The reason why is because anybody who stays in an organization too long and they gain a lot of power become corrupt. And unfortunately, that's just the nature of the beast. I don't think anybody should be in a certain position for too long. I mean, like, do what you have to do. If you can't make change, if you're not effective, you need to keep it moving. And I mean, right now we see all of these politicians who think they have a lot of experience. They have a lot of experience from things that happened in the past. Now moving into a new age, more technologically advanced age, and these politicians barely know how to use cell phones. And so I think that we need term limits. You have to move out the way. You have to start training young people to get involved in politics, and that's what we need.
Do you think those term limits, like if you look at somebody like the Maxine Waters that God knows is so incredibly disliked, how do they win again? Do you think because of the lack of term limits and because of the corruption in our government, do you think that is the cause behind these questionable or fishy elections?
I would say so. But then again, I mean, like, let's look at our youth. How much of our youth actually get involved in politics? A lot of people say that politics isn't for me and this, that, and the other. But yeah, it's a lot of complaining that's going on. And so, you know, if we're going to complain, we have to be the solution. We can't just be the complainers. And so, again, it goes back to getting more young people involved in politics so you don't have the Maxine Waters and the Nancy Pelosi's and the Joe Biden's continuously running for office. You will have new faces and new ideas running for office. Term limits will be the catalyst to get younger people involved in politics because those seats are going to have to get filled eventually.
Yeah,
definitely. That is
So, Joe, I would consider you a lot younger than, you know, Princess Maxine Waters. But my question to you is, you are a younger face. You're not an older generation. You're running up against her who, you know, she's very, very unfavorable. I think our Congress in general is hanging around a 28% approval rating. So as the American people see people like you and we want to vote for you, and we truly believe majority of the people within our districts are voting for you, and the movements that we see and the passion, and, you know, we saw the same thing in Kim Klasik's district in Maryland. You know, the people's energy, the ground roots, just people on fire for you got politicians like you guys. And no matter what we do, no matter who's involved, I just feel like we're always coming up short because no matter what we do, it's just never going to go in our favor.
That's true. That's true. But if we can encourage more people to get out and vote, then I think like we can swing things in our favor. I think one of the biggest things is election security. You know, I mean, we need to have better ways to vote to ensure that illegals are not voting, people who are not qualified to vote are not voting, and making sure that people are not voting 2 or 3 times. Even when it comes to paper ballots, we have to ensure the integrity of the voting machines. I think we need fingerprints and social security numbers in order to vote, and that's just my opinion. But I mean, they make it harder to get a bank account than they do to vote in American elections, where, you know, you're voting for electors who have the power to create laws or remove laws that can ultimately benefit our future.
Don't you think it's funny that they want us to carry around COVID vaccine IDs, but they don't want us to carry IDs that cast a vote?
Right. I don't even. Yeah. I'm not pro-vaccination. I mean, like, you can get vaccinated if you want to. I'm not pro-vaccination. I'm not carrying anybody's card. You know, it's not.
It should be a personal choice between. It should be a personal choice between a patient and their doctor.
They should. But you know what? Even when it comes to this vaccine, you can read up on this vaccine and people can talk about how wonderful it is and vaccinate everybody, but it doesn't stop COVID-19. It just minimizes the symptoms of COVID-19. So you can get the vaccination, still be asymptomatic and carry that stuff and spread COVID to everybody that you know.
All day long. That's why I feel like this vaccination is irrelevant. Literally, it shouldn't even be a thing, especially for something that isn't. It's not even. I don't want to say as bad, but I gotta say it as bad as what they say it is. But I got a question for you, Joe, because you know me and you about to meet up again, bro. You know, every time I leave the state, me and you end up meeting up. But this one's it's gonna be even more special because this one's planned. You know what I'm saying? So we're going out to DC on the 6th, bro. I want you to let the people know what is the goal of the 6th.
So what our goal is, we're working on getting the Lincoln Memorial, and we're gonna have a large rally there. We're gonna have a rally to talk about how how voting matters, especially in Black and Latino communities, how we need to get involved in voting. We're going to have like public officials there speaking. We're going to have influencers there speaking. And this is something that we're putting on ourselves for the people. And I think it's going to be pretty exciting. You know, it's going to be like a march on Washington, D.C., but with a good cause.
Yes, definitely. And you know, I got my little thing that I'm going to be pulling out there. It's going to be a surprise for everybody. I'm going to talk about it out there. I ain't going to talk about it on here, but it is definitely going to be a day to remember. And I'm looking forward, as always, to kicking it with you, man. You and Foster, y'all my bros. So, yeah, I got a question for you, man, about Cali, right? Because you still out there fighting, bro. You still out there with the people. You still out there making sure that everything is good for the people. You feel me? Beyond politics.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's very important. What do you think is the most devastating thing about Maxine Waters in California?
She's a liar. She lies to people on a regular basis. I mean, Maxine Waters' slogan was, I'll fight for everyone, or I'm fighting for everyone, or something like that. And I can distinctly remember getting out the military, and I was homeless because you can't get anything unless you get your VA rating. And I have children, so I ran through my savings, taking care of my kids. And I was sleeping at the lighthouse at Red Palace Vertis, and I was going to her office every other day trying to get help, getting my VA benefits. And I was really, left in the cold. I even took her flowers, and the lady who was at her Broward office said, "Oh yeah, she got the flowers. She's supposed to be messing you." I feel like internships and everything, but Maxine Waters isn't fighting for anybody. And we can even look at, the new article that came out talking about she gave her daughter $240,000 to run her campaign and everything during COVID-19 while people are losing their jobs. You would think that $240,000 could change probably about 100 people's lives that live in our community. And we hired over 200 people directly from community, kids who needed jobs throughout the summertime, people who needed jobs, different organizations to help us do certain things. I mean, we were blessed to raise $10.4 million. We gave all the money to our community, hiring people, making sure people had jobs, making sure people had foods, making sure we had backpack drives. We were cleaning up the district, like just stuff like that. So Maxine Waters is definitely a liar. You can't tell me that 47 years in office, you've only been able to co-author 3 bills. And and yet you wanna dog the police, you wanna dog black men, and Maxine Waters doesn't even take her husband's name. They've been married for like 40 years, and her nameplate still says S. Waters, and her husband's name is Sid Williams. So how can you say that you're fighting for our community? How can you say that you're doing all these things when you have the power to change laws? If police brutality exists and you get out here and you want to talk trash about cops, you have the ability to pass laws that's going to fix that situation. If you say that President Trump is a bad president, you have the power to guide him in a direction that you feel is going to be necessary and productive for our community. If you say that businesses are leaving California, you have the power to get with Gavin Newsom and make them cut taxes, cut restrictions on development, and get businesses back. But you don't do this. All you get up there and do is sell a bunch of wolf tickets.
Bro, you just killed it all day. All right, so that leads me in to my next question. All right, with her career in politics and her only co-authoring 3 bills, right? I gotta ask, how is this woman who is got a career in politics on a salary, how is she living in that big ass mansion that you had in your commercial when her house cost more than her net worth? How is that possible?
I'll tell you this. What I do know from a lot of documents I'm receiving is she was peddling government contracts to Sid's contracting company. And then they made him an ambassador to the Bahamas or something like that. And on top of that, she got a lot of deals. I mean, she got $2.8 million invested in Russian assets, stuff like that. She don't want to talk about that type of stuff.
Wow.
Sounds like Russian collusion to me.
It's more than Russian collusion. It's way more than Russian collusion. I mean, you can look at the Biden family, and they out extorting entire countries and stuff. And so it's just,
I don't know who's done more, her or Biden. It seems like they're neck and neck for the most successful people who've been in Congress for more than 40 years.
Yeah,
they
straight up,
been termed out.
No,
Sure,
I was gonna
go
say,
ahead,
man, for everybody that's watching this right now, see what's special about Joe is Joe, even though he's gotten into the political world, he has not became a politician. And I'm telling you this from firsthand experience of sitting with this brother, literally hanging out the whole day, just kicking it. You know what I'm saying? And getting to talk with him. This is one of the most down-to-earth dudes I've ever met. Literally. We kicked it like you wouldn't even think he was a politician until you start talking politics because the man knows his stuff. Highly intelligent.
Yeah.
All right. But he's so down to earth. So when you're hearing him speak right now, trust and believe what he's telling you is accurate. Share this video out, man, because people need to hear exactly what he just said right now about her and about what's going on, how he just said about the Biden family. And I had the chance to really pick his brain and ask him some real questions, which I don't want to say, on here unless you want to talk about it on here, but it goes deep. That corruption am I lying? Does that corruption go deep, bro?
No, yeah, for sure.
Trying to tell you. Go ahead, Russo.
Hey, Joe. So you according to the whatever, you lost the election. Why do you think it's because Maxine Waters is scared of your legal proceedings that she continued to badmouth you after the election? She talked about you got a dishonorably discharged, which I read is complete BS, and about being a deadbeat dad. Like, first off, how is that even legal? How is that? And why is she trying to do a smear campaign knowing that you've got dirt on her? Why was she doing that?
Because we made a video that went viral. That's why. So she's trying to do whatever she can to go viral. It ain't working. I mean, but you say,
how does the American public, how do we reach across the aisle for other voters and go, this group, what they're doing is pandering to the lowest common denominator. They're promising a platform that Republicans across the board, a lot of them would love to give, but it's fiscally impossible. And then at the same time, they flat out lie about other people. They lie about Trump's taxes. They lie about your child support. Like, how is it that we somehow relate to the American public that is strictly voting down ballot Democrat and go, this is what's really going on? How do we get across? How do we get that across?
I think that it comes to messaging. You know what I'm saying? Like, when people talk trash, it doesn't really matter. And this is what I learned. Like, news is only here for a couple of days and then on to the next. But it's all about messaging. You have to be consistent with your messaging. You know what I'm saying? You have to be constantly in the streets. And one thing that made our campaign different from a lot of other people's campaigns is Democrat, Republican, it didn't matter. You know what I'm saying? What mattered was, what can we do to improve the lives of the people who live in the district? We didn't run a campaign complaining about issues. We ran a campaign talking about the solutions. That's why we were able to pull 80,000 votes in the D plus 54 district, something that had never been done before. That's why, even after the campaign, we still have people that says, man, we just didn't even know who you were. Have we known who you were sooner? Are you'd have been here, longer, you'd have got our vote, but run again. And so, in my opinion, it's just about being solution-based. And for conservatives, we have to get off that complaint train. You know what I'm saying? And I say this a lot. There's a lot of conservatives that sound just like liberals. And when you don't agree with any one particular ideology, people get mad at you. You know what I'm saying? Like, Candace Owens got mad at me because I'm like, yo, stop bashing black men who get murdered by white folks or who get murdered by the cops, because you just made a lot of money talking about how Democratic policy destroyed black communities. Now, these people may be criminals, but they're also victims of the policy you just made millions of dollars off of. So instead of bashing these men, let's come up with solutions. She didn't like that. Brandon Tatum was the same way. And I actually seen him in person, and all the trash that he talked on social media, he didn't do that in person because I'm not with the games. But at the end of the day, we have to be willing to accept people who are from the inner cities who do have these issues into the Republican Party and treat them as if they're people and not a number that you can just say, well, we got this many people. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, black people are loyal, but they're not putting up with the trash, especially people from the inner city.
Yo, bro, he ain't even lying to you when he say he ain't with the games, man. I'm telling you. Wait till y'all get to meet this man in DC if you come, and you're gonna see what I mean. Yeah. This brother is as real as they come, man. I got a real good question for you, Joe. A real good one, bro, because you out in Cali, all right? So I gotta ask him. I didn't get the chance to talk to you about this when we was kicking it, man. But I gotta ask you here right now for the people. Talk to me about Kamala Harris. Is she loved out there?
No, I don't know any black men that like Kamala Harris. There's a lot of gay black men that like Kamala Harris, but no real men. And the reason why is because she's like I don't want to call her black because she's not black, but she's the colored version of Joe Biden. She ran her whole campaign, even from being district attorney all the way to where she is now by locking up black men, by locking up Latinos for dumb stuff like marijuana possession or truancy. And then she laughed
Joe,
about it.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but don't be rude. She's Jewish.
Kamala Harris, she ain't no damn Jew. And she got up there with
she
me,
practiced it.
just like she practiced Kwanzaa. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I was just about to say.
Yeah.
He practiced Kwanzaa before there was Kwanzaa.
Yeah, listen, you can fool some people sometimes, but you can't fool everybody every time. Man, we all know that she plays roles, just like she came off that airplane wearing Timbs and some jeans and stuff. Like, come on, like,
With some
knock it
Timbs.
off,
Thank
Kamala
you.
Harris. I've seen her in
Wait.
person at a fundraiser, and she is not who she says she is.
Joe,
I'm
you're
telling you,
from
that's
Cali.
like
You're from
Mama
Cali,
Kamala.
right?
I'm from South Central Los Angeles, born and raised.
So
Say it
you know
again.
who Willie Brown? You know who Willie Brown is?
I know who Willie Brown is.
I was just curious.
That's her pimp daddy.
I mean, you probably don't know. You probably don't know him as much as Kamala.
Y'all heard it here first, baby.
He,
From
yeah.
Daddy,
He's
dog.
very familiar with Kamala Harris. You know what I'm saying? But hey, you got to get it how you live. And this is what I'm gonna say. I don't like some things that certain people do, but if it works for you, fine, go get your money. You know what I'm saying? But I don't have to like you, but I understand the significance of having somebody like Kamala Harris. I think they could have chosen somebody better, but I can understand the significance of winning empowerment by using someone of color to be in that position. I mean, vice president as a black woman is powerful. I just wish we could have put a different type of black woman in office. instead
real
of one
black
who-
woman.
A real
Yeah,
one.
I mean, like she got dogged by Tulsi Gabbard, on live TV, and her campaign went downhill. So the fact that they went back and brought her back, I'm like, you guys are stupid, But what?
You already know why they did that. That was a straight up pander move.
So we
That's
can
why that was.
safely assume that the Democrats just pander every 4 years. That's it.
That's what they do. They said Black Lives Matter, and what these dummies did. All the Congress they put on,
Yeah.
they put on African dashikis and knelt. I'm just like,
It
this
was
is
a
better than anybody.
slave trade, transatlantic slave trade, and they oh god.
Even
Okay.
people get that messed up. You know what I'm saying? Like you go back to the Library of Congress and you look at the transatlantic slave trade because everybody want to be victims, especially if you back black law slaves and stuff like that. 280,000 people came to the United States via the transatlantic slave trade. A lot of them hopped off in the islands, but they failed to mention that the Moorish Empire had already conquered the lands of North America before these people even got here. That's why George Washington used to have to write letters to the Emperor of Morocco.
What I
every
say?
year. Even when he died, he had to write the letters to his son. We even got the Treaty of Friendship and Peace that got to get updated every 82 years so America can continue to do business
Yo.
on this continent because they're own. And then
Yo.
everybody says, "Oh, independence," and it's like independence were for white people to gain their independence from the crown. It didn't have nothing to do with black people. And independence didn't have anything to do with the United States.
Bro, Joe, everything that you just said, y'all remember when I was touching on that? When I was trying to break that down to everybody about
Yeah,
the
more black culture.
about how Lincoln, about how Washington said, "I shall not tell a lie. I chopped down my father's cherry tree." It had nothing to do with a cherry tree.
I did.
Nothing at all. He was talking about that Moorish flag.
Yeah.
It goes deep. And if I spent my time breaking this down, a lot of people wouldn't even understand it, wouldn't even want to hear it.
They don't want to
Because it's-
read either. They don't want to read. I talk to people all the time, and they're just like, "No, we African descendants," and I'm like, "Nope." And I look at my family history. On my dad's side, they were slaves. On my mom's side, they were indigenous. They were Indians, and they're also people who they would consider the copper color people. The Indians would, and they kind of intertwine. And that's why when you look at our history books, don't even tell the full Black history. They tell our history at the start of slavery, but they missed the whole entire part because let me tell you this: the Department of Interior. And people always talk about reparations. They ask me how you feel about it. I say it's great, have reparations, but you will never get it because people of color, black people in America, don't have a nationality. Well, prove it. Well, the Constitution says that if you consider yourself African American, you're a slave. Dred Scott case say anybody consider themselves black or African American is still a slave. Your property, you can't own nothing. Barack Obama even said himself that black has no standing in law. So that tells you right there, like black people have no nationality. And if you go back and go read the Library of Congress, it tells you that either you're indigenous, aborigine, which comes from the Moorish Empire, or you're a slave, or you're an Indian. And the Department of Interior has reparations for all of those people. Indians get it because they have the petition through the KIA, with the United States in order to federally identify them as such so they can get those reparations, but nobody else do it because black people scared to go to court.
Yo, I gotta say it real quick. I gotta say this, man, because Joe, you just threw a lot of stuff that I've been beating around the bush, hinting at it, talking about it here and there to people, because that's a conversation that a lot of people ain't ready to have. But one of the big things, and you just touched on it, when they were talking about reparations, and I can't stress this enough, it made it all the way to the UN. They had a UN discussion about reparations in the 90s. And when they went there, America said, we don't got a problem paying reparations. We'll pay the reparations. But we don't deal with people, we deal with nations. What nation are they from? What nation are they from? We'll pay them. What nation are they from? Then you got black people all around America saying that I'm black, I'm African American, I'm a Negro. But they don't never say their nationality. When our ancestors were sold under slavery, what banner were they sold under? The banner of a Moabite. Moabite. Straight from the Moorish ancestral line.
I'm gonna give you one even better. I was talking to one of my homegirls the other day, and she said our nationality is America. I said, well, let's go look up the legal definition in the law dictionary, because everybody got the wordplay. Let's look up the legal definition of America. America is short for the United States of America, which was incorporated. You know what I'm saying? So when you're a citizen of America, you're a citizen of the Corporation of America. Now you look at Minnesota Rule 220 that says that the registrar, which is the Secretary of State, has the ability to recognize you if you get your birth certificate, affidavit of ownership, and you sever that line so you can have a nationality. So you sever the line, then you go to a court of competent jurisdiction and you claim your nationality. It's that easy. And then you take those documents, you send them to the Department of Interior, the Secretary of State, the birth registrar, and then that's how you get your stuff.
Bruh. Hey, I like you even more now. I didn't even know that you knew about none of this stuff, bro. But that's dope. I'm actually
creating a constitutional amendment for human rights for African descendants of slavery or American descendants of slavery, which comes with the ability to claim a nationality and get whatever it is that you are, or which 40 acres and a mule or something. What Luther King was talking about with that Homestead Act before he sold us out.
This day and age is 40 ounces in a pit bull. That was a joke.
Can I ask you a question about reparations real quick?
Yeah.
And I think Kamala Harris is kind of a perfect example. So reparations would have been great if they were done instantly. But now if you start looking down the line, Kamala Harris is a perfect example of why it's impossible, in my opinion, for reparations, because Kamala Harris, supposedly her great-great-grandfather and grandmother one was black, and one was a actual slave owner. So how do you get to choose what side? Because technically that means that you're trying, and this is with a lot of black people today, a lot of the light-skinned black people, obviously they've come from both lines of lineage. So technically, are you on the oppressor side? Because you haven't been directly affected by slavery. You're not one generation out. You're several generations out from slavery. So the people now, like technically, I have no ties to slavery as this white man, as you see. So I have no ties to slave owners. I'm from Italy, etc. So now you look at somebody like Kamala, she's got a direct tie to slavery as the slave owner and the slave. So it's kind of, to me, that's where reparations become almost impossible at this point. So I don't know. I don't know.
Kamala Harris wouldn't even be able to get reparations anyway, because her family is from the islands and they did own slaves. Yeah, and so those people are not, U.S. territory, so they wouldn't be privy to reparations. And then her mother is an Indian with the red dot, so she wouldn't be privy to reparations either. You would, because everybody thinks that slavery was just black people, but it wasn't. They was importing white people, Italians, and all this type of stuff everywhere here too. So you could qualify for reparations too after you get your nationality. It's not just the nationality. It's not just a black thing. Nationality is a United States thing.
My question is: are we just going to do African Americans, or are we going to do Irish people too? Because during the potato famine,
that's what he's saying.
So that's what he's saying. It's not just. It's nothing exclusive to just black people. A lot of people wasn't even just Irish, and that's the misconception. A lot of people, when they first came to this country, there were more slaves without being black. There was other slaves. There was yellow, there was brown, there was black. There was white.
Listen.
There was a lot of different slaves.
In June of this year, pretty much around like the big BLM movement, they released an article. I remember reading it on USA Today. It says if you weren't black and you came over here and you were a slave, it's not that you were a slave. They called you an indentured servant, not a slave. So anybody who wasn't.
See, that's
not true.
where people get history mixed up. Indentured servants were different from slavery. Indentured servants were people who were contracted to be able to work land that they knew about. The problem with indentured servants is the people who were the owners of the property wasn't paying them what they were supposed to be getting paid. They'll take the crops and say, well, we only made this much from the crops without showing proof. And so they will give indentured servants, just like modern day jobs right now. Well, we can only make this much, we can only pay you this much. And it's not enough for you to be able to get your own house. So indentured servants is synonymous to contract work. You know what I'm saying? Whereas you had slaves or people who were actually considered property who were actually sold. You never could sell indentured servants. You just contract them and pay them amounts of money so they can't be dependent on themselves.
And by the way, I touched on this the other day too, man, when we were talking about this. When the people first came over here, there were not no indentured servants. Irish and Scottish did not become indentured servants until years after they came here. And that only happened because they needed to set up a way to divide people, to get us to govern, to turn on each other, to get the actual slaves that were different colors to turn on each other. So they created a hierarchy. If you're real dark, you in the field. If you're a little light skinned, but you're still black, you get to go in the house. If you're Irish, well, then you get to be the police. You get what I'm saying? But they were all still categorized as the same thing. They just gave them a privilege of saying, oh, we're not slaves now. We're indentured servants. After 7 years, master, let's go. You get what I'm saying?
That was one of the biggest catalysts for Abraham Lincoln creating the Emancipation Proclamation. It had really nothing to do with freeing slaves. It had everything to do with the contractors not being paid their contract work, and they started revolting against the people who they were working for. And then you had it was black people who were slave owners as well. I mean, let's not even pretend like, that, all black people are perfect, but they had the same issues going on. And so now when black people start fleeing to the north, and then the northern black people who used to have slaves, okay, so what's going on here? And they started going back to Abraham Lincoln. Well, you're the president at this time. What are you doing about this? And so what he did was, when he created the Emancipation Proclamation, that was to get everybody on the same page. So that's why they talk about birthright citizenship. You know what I'm saying? It has nothing to do with freeing slaves. It's an emancipation. It's somebody said something and put it down on paper. It's not a law. It's a proclamation. So that was what that was all about.
So I have a question. We have all this knowledge. We have all the tools to set ourselves.
Wait. I'm sorry, Sunni. I don't mean to interrupt you. I apologize. Blake, please, if you could, when you want to talk, that's cool. Go like this or something. But I don't know if y'all are hearing it, but I'm listening to your mic, and it's like a piercing, high-pitched frequency, like drilling into my head. That's why I keep muting your mic. I love when you talk, but go ahead.
Is it gone now?
Now it's gone. Thank you. What'd you do?
I did
Thank
the
you,
magic.
Lord. That was killing me.
I did the magic stick.
Go ahead, Sunni.
Lord. This is a smart group of people. We all know the truth about what's actually going on. But what it comes down to is getting the rest of the public to realize all this stuff. Like, we could talk about this all day, but how do we get everyone else?
You muted yourself, Sunni.
So that we're not having this constant battle. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of talking about BLM. I'm tired of talking about the police shootings. I'm tired of the we shall overcome mentality.
Facts.
I think it's just time to level up. Like, seriously, I'm tired of talking about this stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I don't take BLM serious, and the reason why is because, like, you make all these money, $3 billion off, propagating black people who die, but you never help any of the families when it comes to funeral costs to get lawyers, costs to, make change in the United States when it comes to issues like that. So I don't take it serious. But what I started to do was actually write up bills myself. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't get everybody on board and talk about it because everybody doesn't disagree. But people are not about action. You know what I'm saying? Which is fine. Y'all can have the talk, but we're gonna be about action. We're gonna write the bill. We're gonna get it passed, and you have the ability to accept it or not. And that's just what I think. And so We write the bills, we go testify in front of Congress, we get the bills passed, and now it's public law. So anybody who wants that to go for it. So now you take away that ability for people to complain. You know, and that's just what we gotta start doing.
Being proactive. Facts. I'm with that.
Yo, so anybody got anything else? Or Joe, you got anything that you want to say to the people, man? Because I ain't trying to keep you all day. I told you it'd be 45 minutes an hour. But bro, first off, let me thank you. And me and you definitely, we gonna chop it up, bro. I'm about to call you. We about to have a whole different kind of conversation. I didn't know that you knew what you displayed today, man. It's something that I keep within myself. There's a lot of people don't want to hear about that. They think that when you talk about it, you're talking about the Moors from like Chicago that walk around with the fezzes on and they got the little
those are not recognized Moors. Even the Hebrew Israelites, I had a lot of run-ins with them dudes, and they don't even mess with them Moors. You know what I'm saying?
That's how it is with me.
It's just like, man, but yeah, I'm talking about real Moors. I'm talking about people from the Moorish Empire that these documents.
Yes.
It's on the Library of Congress. You can look it up.
Yes.
Moorish Empire, Library of Congress, and it's going to pull it up. I mean, all the information is there. You just have to go read it. That's normally what I spend a lot of time in DC doing. So I go do my events and then I disappear because I'll be reading.
And if people don't believe what we're telling you, look it up. Who was the first nation to recognize America as an independent nation? Who was the first nation? Look that up and then you'll see. This everything that we're telling you, it's all factual, man. Ain't none of this stuff made up from from our mind. This is all real. All right. So yeah, I'm excited to talk to you again, bro. This is dope. You just literally, you made my day tonight, bro. I'm glad. I'm glad you came on, man. Me and you definitely gonna chop it up, and DC's gonna be too lit. But go ahead and give your final statements, man. Talk to the people, whatever you want them to know. How can they support you as well?
You can support me. Go to JoeCouncilCongress.com and you can donate. You can read our stuff. You can get involved. But what we need is we need to start training younger people to get involved in politics. Like I cannot stress that enough. Doesn't matter if you're Democrat, Republican, Independent. It doesn't matter. Get involved in politics. Like let's start making changes. We have to start pushing the senior citizens out of office. They need to be retired. I'm sick of looking at crank yankers. I just watched Mitch McConnell and Bernie Sanders get into it. The worst argument I've ever seen in my life. But man, we got to get involved.
Does Bernie Sanders not have an assistant? I just saw him on Fox earlier, and he had dandruff all over the front of his jacket. It's like, doesn't he almost was a presidential? He almost could have been the #1 Democrat, and nobody is there to dust off his hair dandruff. I don't understand.
I would have respected Bernie Sanders more than I do Joe Biden. You know what I'm saying? At least he got ideas, and he got the dandruff as well. But I mean,
he likes to share the wealth,
So before we let you go, because I keep seeing the same comment over and over, and I want to double check who he was, so I want to make sure I knew who it was. What's your thoughts? Because I want one last question on what you really think will happen with the presidential election. But people keep bringing up Bobby Patan, the guy from Arizona, the mathematician that was blowing the cover off why this is impossible. Do you know anything about him?
You know what? I've learned about him from Dr. Shiva, but I think my biggest thing is keep collecting the evidence. But we can't forget that President Trump signed into law that executive order back from September 12, 2018 that talked about foreign interference in our elections. And we can't negate the fact that the majority of the voting machines are owned by foreign entities, which coincides directly with what that bill says. I don't know the exact number, but if you look up Executive Order September 12, 2018, you'll pull it up and you'll read it. So once they certify this election results, I think America would be better off because that will give the military power to go. It's actually going to shut down the country. The only people who are going to be able to work is the United States Treasury and the military and Congress. And that's it. So it'll give the military the authority to go arrest everybody who wanted to certify the election results. Everybody who knew that these machines were partially owned by foreign countries and everything. And so I expect it to go down. And you see President Trump really stop talking about it so much because, after a while, you keep preaching until you blue in the face and people aren't listening. And a lot of us, like they say in the old school, we from the show me state. So we stop talking about it. And then once they certify the election results, I look forward to a lot of arrests.
Joe, do Do you feel like, because here's what I feel like Donald Trump, the way he's distressing in his tweets and how he's engaging with these people, I feel like he's truly saying, hey, do the right thing. Like, you need to do the right thing. Not because, like, obviously he wants them to do the right thing, but I think he's giving them a chance to, like, hey, you know you messed up, just do the right thing. And I think he has all the information he needs to do these, like the military tribunals and stuff like that when they do the executive order. But like, I feel like he's given them so many opportunities, and I truly believe what you just said is going, like, I truly think that's going to happen.
If it didn't happen, I'd be really disappointed. But that's what I expect to happen. I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying it is going to happen, but I pray to God that it happens.
I'm expecting it. I'm praying. So we're just going to leave it there.
If 5 million people show up in DC, that's a lot of voice, even though they might pass it there, but that'll show that there's people behind the movement.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
All right. Closing statements, you guys. We're trying to keep this underneath an hour so I can upload it to my other platform.
I'll be quick. Guys, come and join us after this over on Concert Vengers. Sunni, Blake, Cash will be over there. Morgan, also Time Patriots. We're gonna have some fun. That's our comedy hour. It's called the Safe Space for Conservatives. So just go and join us.
Damn skippy hippie.
And Joe, you're a beast, man. Good luck with whatever you got going on. If you can break that water dam.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Sunni, go ahead. Give your closing.
Everybody needs to research and be proactive. Get out there, show up on January 6th, make your voices heard, because all this work means absolutely nothing if you don't put any effort behind it. Trump can't do it himself. We have to stand up for our country as well.
Facts. Big Blake, go ahead, doggy.
Big Blake. Anyways, so not only going to Washington, D.C., but if you guys can't make it, I know a lot of you that tune in say it's too far, to whatever, you can afford it, go to your state capitals. Be there on January 6th. There are tons of like movements around the country. It's not just at our United States Capitol, but it's all over the country. Get involved. There's different caravans if you're trying to meet up with people. There's caravans literally coming from California. I'm not sure if anybody's driving from Hawaii, but I'm sure someone will attempt it. But that's all I have.
All right. Me, look, I need all 1,392 of you. Share this video out, please. Share it out on every platform that you're on. Let everybody hear this conversation, because I feel like it was a very good, meaningful, and intelligent conversation, which will inform you a little bit about some things that are going on. You know, we didn't touch on everything in depth, but it was a good starting point. And Joe's my bro, so you know he's going to be on again. See how I did that right there? You know what I'm saying? But beyond that, yo, follow Joe, man. If you could, go on his Instagram. He's there. Go on his Twitter. Go on his Facebook. He's got all of those, all right? Just look up Joe Collins. That's only one. You ain't going to miss him. You know what I'm saying? It's the guy that went viral with the dope-ass commercial about Maxine Waters and her $1 million mansion. All right? That being said, I love you guys. I appreciate you all for tuning in tonight. Can't wait to see you guys on Concert Vengers. And December 6th, if you can, bring your ass out to D.C. I'm going to be there.
January. He meant January, guys. He meant January. December. You said December.
I'm sorry, man. That's a fucking day. All right, look, I've had a long, stressful day. Y'all don't even know. I didn't get into it, but it's okay. January 6th, we're going to be in Washington, D.C., so come on out.
Actually,
barbecue grill.
No. If we want Cash to be there on January 6th, let's tell him it's on December.
Yeah,
December 6th. Because I run on a different kind of time. You feel me? It's all right. It's all right. Don't worry about it. But I'm gonna be there. So yeah, y'all, look, come out. If you could come out, come out. Be ready, because it's gonna be a movement. All right. Appreciate you guys for being a panelist on the show today. We're gonna do it again. Joe, thank you, my brother. You already know it's always a pleasure. We're gonna chop it up. I'll catch you guys next time. Remember, unite, don't fight, be a street light, because only you can be the change that you want to see in the world. And when you get too stressed out, you got to remember to pray, America.
Woo!
Yeah, brother.
All right, peace, guys.
Peace
That's
out.
a mess.
Well.